Okay,
There we go.
so our problem is the overdoses
Is that actually our thing now? I thought our problem was the... I'm sorry, we're just going to have to restart this.
Okay.
But no, I thought our problem
So
was...
our main problem is overdoses due to opioids in Kentucky. That's our like main
and our
problem.
audience is concerned citizens.
But that's
But then we have
that was
to-
our first idea for it. But our big problem that we're trying to solve
the
is
hospitals?
our main one is just the opioid epidemic in Kentucky.
But
So
that's
we have
too
to say
broad. We had
no,
to
but we
narrow
have
it
to say
down.
that that's our main issue that we're trying to solve, and then we go into we can try to solve it by doing the first step, which is the just focusing on the overdoses, and then we can say, okay, well, we're gonna make it smaller into just the hospitals giving out.
Yeah.
opioids.
So
like the narrowing of the
Yeah, like
topic
that's what we
down
have to do
in a
because we
step-by-step.
need. Yeah, she wanted the
So
process.
yeah, so we just have to figure out like what aspect we want to go from. So like we could pick like a stakeholder. So what stakeholder did you do?
I did the Kentucky criminal justice system.
You did,
Drug dealers.
and you did
the state.
the state, and then I did the hospitals and clinics, and I don't know what Ryan did. So
I think he did.
Oh, he
the
did the
state of-
user.
I think he did
yeah, he
drug
did
users.
Yeah.
So like we could pick one of those stakeholders and be like, well, if like so which one? Okay, I don't know. I feel like maybe like the law enforcement or like one of like the bigger kind of areas would work better because like we would have more to talk about because there's like a major stakeholder in it.
I actually got, when I was trying to do the paper, I was considering one of my sources being an interview, and I got an interview with the lieutenant that runs the entire like drug enforcement for Lexington Police Department.
Yeah. So like we could include that, and like we also probably could include more than one stakeholder. Like we could
Yes.
include like the law enforcement and like the hospitals and clinics, and we could also include like the drug users themselves. Like we could use like different ones. We don't have to use just one. I feel like maybe if we do that, like we'll have a more
Helps
reality
build our credibility
kind
of it.
like more reality style like genre to it.
Instead of doing the hospitals. Like instead of doing the hospitals, or
No,
like
with it.
with the hospitals.
If that makes sense, because like right now we have like our main topic, like we thought about the inconsistent prescriptions from the hospitals and clinics and stuff. So like we could use that information, like that topic, but we can also include what the law enforcement is doing about it, what the state is doing about it. Like we don't have to like just stick with the hospitals and clinics.
That'll add time to the
Who
video.
your audience is. how
Okay,
that
go ahead, say it
impacts
again.
sources.
So wait, where do we start?
So okay,
So
we start with that. I'll start off by saying so our problem that we're trying to solve is the opioid epidemic in Kentucky, and then we could go to in this section.
yeah.
This like part of the project, I guess, the section of the project,
Mhm.
we're gonna focus on the overdoses from prescription opioids. If I can talk today, that'd be awesome. But and then somebody else goes into the next thing, which would be how that's a little too broad, and then like keep going from that broad, and then we go to the hospitals. I know, and then we go to like the hospitals, the law enforcement and the government, and then somebody else goes, well, to specify even more, we can just focus on the hospitals because of this kind of thing.
And so,
Wow.
with our audience, why I know we pick concerned citizens because it kind of just generalizes like whether it's concerned citizens that work in law enforcement or those that are the hospital workers, or even just those that are affected by users or former addicts or anything else. But
So I guess we have to do the audience with each step. So like if we talk about how we're doing the overdoses of the prescription opioids, we'd have to talk about how the citizens would be our audience because they're getting affected, and drug users too would be like drug users and citizens would be the audience, and then we go specify it, and when we're specifying it down to the government and the hospitals and the law enforcement, it would be more so of like the government would be more so of a audience, and then when we narrowed it into the hospitals, it would be more of the hospital staff and patients would be our thing. And then we could do the genre as somebody can start off by saying, well, let's do horror, and then we go like, our topic's probably not the best thing to do that, so we're gonna do, we'll start off with comedy. We're gonna be like, we can't do comedy because comedy is like too
it'd be
touchy,
insensitive.
so we're gonna do this.
our issue is the opioid epidemic in Kentucky. So,
We're gonna attempt to solve this issue by focusing on the overdoses that people go through by getting prescribed the opioids.
so for that, like the inconsistent prescriptions that are being handed out or signed out, I don't even prescribed, that's the word, is coming mainly from like the hospitals and clinics. So like we could focus on the hospitals and clinic like as a stakeholder and talk about them in more detail of like how and like why they're giving out like inconsistent prescriptions and like how people who don't need those prescriptions are getting them from people who have them for no reason most of the time. So yeah, that could be like one of our like topics that we could talk about.
And then it would be the audience that we're trying to go at. It could be either the citizens because they're viewing and they're seeing all the overdoses, and then it could also be the drug dealers themselves.
Yeah, like what we could do is, because when we had to do our each individual own stakeholder, we could find ways that of how they also like correlate with what our main audience is and like our main like concentrated theme.
How
is.
each of our stakeholders affects
One
our
another.
audience of just concerned citizens in general, like
Yeah.
and specificity with that. And I think because we have 5 group members, each one can find a source within the stakeholders we researched, i.e. I already have my source, which was the interview with Lieutenant in the Lexington Police Department, which I still need to read.
But then that may be like too. I think doing the overdoses might be a little too broad and not specified. So maybe we could do like just like law enforcement and focus on like the law enforcement government kind of thing and like
Yeah,
the hospitals
another
that are
thing-
giving it.
Because there's like a bill that was passed like regarding like drugs and
Oh, yeah.
creating like a system to help them with rehabilitation. So that could also correlate with like law enforcement and all that.
Yeah,
Because
another
I think I
thing
read that bill.
is like if we like include like even though like if we do bring it like broader and we like talk about law enforcement and stuff, what you said earlier, it would like build up our credibility too of like what we're talking about. Like if we have like the lieutenant from the police department like give like a little bit of like some quotes or something from like an interview, like that'll bring up our credibility about this issue like even more. We don't have to like focus on like them like in like super specifically, but we can like bring in ideas and like build our credibility. Because you said that earlier, and I thought that was a really good word to use.
I guess then in that case our audience would be more so of like the government in a way would be
More
like our
like-
main
yeah,
Oh,
audience.
wait, so we're
to-
looking for more like government action or like pushing the
Pushing-
citizens
yeah.
to
Yeah.
to
act
take
on the
action,
government.
yeah. So we could
Because this would almost be like, essentially our documentary would be like something like you show on like the local TV news network
yeah,
as like a PSA, like a
or like
PSA or something.
in
for the
like
citizens.
in like a
awareness.
classroom or something,
Yeah.
and like you
Yeah.
could like it's like an
the DARE
awareness.
program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Yeah, like basically, like we could we could make like a video that you could like show to like classes, like college kids would like be like a good like class
Yeah.
to show this kind of
So the genre would have to be more serious.
so more serious, more like
But not something that would lose people's interest quickly.
Yeah.
You'd have to have a
Yeah.
change in perspective with
Yeah.
like who you're talking to, what they're talking about, but still tying in repeatedly.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so we'll do
So,
the
like-
more of a reality rather than we could do the comedy,
Like-
but comedy is too sensitive. So and then
Yeah.
horror would be just a little scarring.
So it'd be
to
like
take
drama
away.
or reality
Yeah.
or
Have you ever
that-
seen those like cigarette commercials?
yeah.
Like your teeth
Oh,
or something
yeah,
like
it's
that.
like you go up
And
to
it's
buy
like,
it and
yeah,
then like,
but it's like
You-
not a
not-
horror.
it's not a horror thing,
not
they're just using
but
a
it's
scare
like,
factor.
But it's using a scare factor. We could
Yeah.
include like a scare factor too.
to show you like the dangers
To-
of what it
Yeah, to
It's
show the
doing.
dangers of what like drugs could cause, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Nothing like too serious, but like,
Yeah.
but
it's
like,
kind of like when you do the cigarette ad and it's like they go up to like it controls your life in a way and it comes
Yeah.
out it unrolls the
it-
cigarettes all the
and
lists
it's all
of like
everything that
things.
it
It's like a
controls.
contract saying like
Yeah,
what
exactly,
you're
like,
getting yourself
you're-
into.
putting your life into this and it's kind of
That's
scaring you.
perfect.
Yeah.
That actually
Woohoo!
is okay. So we're gonna do that kind of thing, and then so our main focus in this is what the would be like the not the hospitals, but it would be the
The state as a whole, I guess.
Or like
Like
don't
provide
know.
potential solutions for what the state could do to reduce overdoses, reduce access, increase awareness of the issue.
like state officials like
Isn't
limit
that
it
still
down.
And then
too
also
broad?
informing
I feel like
the
that might still be too
citizens to
broad
take
in a
action.
way,
Oh,
though.
true, yeah.
Like,
Well, it's broad until we provide like something for them to do.
Yeah.
We're trying to think of how to talk to a large body of people without knowing what to say at the moment.
I feel like once we have more of like what our facts are going to be and like what our sources are going to be, I feel like we could like narrow it even more. But right now, I feel like having like just like a PSA that you could show like to a general group of people, like older adults, like mature adults, like
Yeah.
So not us.
yeah,
Essentially.
yeah. But like a group, something that you could show like a mature group of adults, and like they can understand what we're trying to convey. Like we're trying to like reduce like this epidemic or some, I don't know.
yeah, but then
like
we
that.
have to like, okay, so the big thing is the epidemic, and the big thing would be like that they're overdosing. But what is the main focus of our problem that we're trying to solve? Is it the hospitals getting to like giving out the wrong kind of like too much
giving too much?
opioids?
Yeah.
Is that going to be
We
our
could
main
do
focus?
that, yeah.
That should be
yeah.
because that's where like the
That's where it
problem
starts.
And then we
Yeah.
could go in how like the government could stop,
Stop,
the
yeah.
like put regulations where
Mhm.
either the hospital can't prescribe opioids where they're taking it outside of the hospital, like to pick up at a pharmacy or something and take them home, where they can only take opioids in a hospital in a
Yeah.
controlled environment.
Yeah,
kind
like
of thing.
like you go in, like they say, take your medicine. You do it in front of someone, so you're not like over.
Yeah.
Exactly, like some kind of just on like the opioids. Like, I mean, if you need some amoxicillin, go ahead, go take that. But like just
Yeah.
the main opioids.
So like, what specific sources would like? Because it's asking for 5 specific sources.
Well,
So the lieutenant from
Yeah.
the Lexington Police Department,
Hospitals itself. Like, look at.
a director at a hospital, like
Mhm.
of like a program. I looked up. There's KPCA, it's something like that. KPAC or something like that. It's like a program.
I think I did get one of those articles
Yes.
for my rhetorical
I
analysis.
don't remember what the letters are, but it's like that group. Like we could like interview like a director or
Because that like it's actually really easy. Because having to do it for last semester, I just
Yeah.
emailed them and it's
you
like
just email them and you're just like,
Yeah.
hey, can we like have a sit down conversation?
Right. Yeah.
And then like we could do like someone from the state. Like we could reach out to
lieutenant governor or
Yeah,
a
like-
mayor of one of the towns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have like somebody that's like from the government side and the police side,
Mm-hmm.
and then like we could
we could
get like the hospital policies
Mm-hmm.
as
Yeah.
a source from like the hospitals.
Even
So
like
that we,
pharmacies
like-
or
Yeah,
such,
exactly.
too.
And then for like a 5th one, we could do the Kentucky Health, because that's where like I got most of the statistics on like that 70,000 people die each year from
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
opioid prescription like opioids.
Yeah.
So we could do that as more of a factual, like how it's affecting everybody in facts instead of
Yeah.
just the what they do with the opioids and how they try and crack down on the opioids and the
Mhm.
government's structure on drugs in a way.